Hi guys, Toby here with a new video, and this video we're going to talk about Fury Warriors as promised. So we did talk about Arms tree, the class tree, and also the Slayer and Colossus hero talent. The Slayer one is the same for Fury, so obviously I'm going to have probably the same opinion, but I'm going to show you guys the interesting things about Fury. So first and foremost, we already seen the tier set on the arms video, so if you want to check the more general stuff about Warrior, you can check the video about Arms tree, about the Arms review. Now we're going to talk about the class tree again, but you see, since we're playing Mountain Thane, it's a really interesting talent tree. So I'm going to show you guys. First and foremost, everything from Mountain Thane can be applied to Whirlwind and to Thunderclap. So we did take Thunderclap, and it is actually a satisfying spell to use. I would not have thought that, but it is. You can now take Champion Spear and Thunderous Roar. You can forget about Bloodthirst, like spamming, but more of a Bloodthirst is an interesting ability to press. You have now Intervene, also able to redirect the harmful spells. It was not the case in Dragonflight, but also it is 3 seconds in PvP, so don't be scared. It's not a divine shield. It's 3 seconds of harmful spells that I'm going to redirect on you. So you can either polymorph, you can either CC like Cyclone. So you can actually outplay the enemy with intervening. I think that's a great thing to have in PvP. You see that I have also Second Wind, and like I said, in combat you can also regen HP whenever you're below 35% health. So that's a great thing, and I think it's an easy talent to take. You can also try to sacrifice a few points to get Rallying Cry. It's not always going to be easy though, because there is so many talents that you have to take to be able to play Mountain Thane. I would wish that Thunderclap was something you can have baseline and have only Crankling Thunder as an increased thing, but it is not the case. Right now we are like very starved, like talent wise, as Fury if you want to play Mountain Thane. And that's a reality, obviously. For the rest, we did talk about it in the arms tree, like the arms video. But overall, I do like those talent trees way more. I think for Fury and the arms, they are more interesting and they are more flexible as well. And you can play a bit more around the things that are making Fury more fun or Arms Warrior more fun. Now let's talk about Fury really quickly. There is a returning spell, which is Blade Storm, which I'm very happy about. There is still Unhinged, which is weird because, yeah, it's Moral Strike. I know it's Bloodthirst. It's not that good. I thought it was Moral Strike first, but I never really read that correctly. It is Bloodthirst, so you would be playing Storm of Stills then. Because of the double blaze storm, which is quite nice as well, because then you are more able to get less CC'd. Storm of Destruction is also not really working, unfortunately. Normally it should be a 1 minute CD, but it's still a 1.5 minute CD. So there is that. Onslaught is still an interesting spell to have, and we're not playing with Odin's Fury right now. The good things that are changing is you can either have Enrage that is going to increase the damage of your abilities by 15%, or you can have an Enrage which is going to improve your movement speed but also your haste. So it depends on your playstyle. I prefer the powerful Enrage because again I prefer to have like big heavy blows, but I understand that haste is also a interesting stat to have, so you have choice. We do play with improved whirlwind and meat cleaver because it is going to improve your Mountain Thane hero talent tree. I'm going to show you guys directly. We have Wrath and Fury because again the resets are also quite interesting as well, and you have obviously a lot of talents that you can play around. There is also a single-minded Fury build that I'm going to show you really quickly as well. It's only one talent point that is going to change, but it's playable now. It's only one talent point. It's not going to make you lose too much value on other things. So that's actually a good thing in my opinion, and you can play around that as well if you want to. Now let's talk about the Mountain Tree tree. So you have Slayer and Mountain Thane. Mountain Thane is very fun. I personally like it. It's very animation-wise different as well. I really enjoy Mountain Thane. So I'm going to show you guys the few things. So lightning strikes is that if you're damaging enemies with thunderclap or raging blow or execute, you have a 32% chance to also strike one with a lightning bolt dealing 71,000 nature damage, or lightning strikes also occur 30% more often during avatar. It's not or, it's and, so it's a good thing. It's nature damage, so physical, you don't have a problem with armor, so that's a good thing. You also have like other things that are going to improve your damage. So lightning strikes also deal 35k to enemies near their targets. That's an AoE thing. You cannot really go away from that. You can either have intervene, giving you a absorb shield of magic equal to 3 times your armor to the target. So that's a quite good thing. So you can actually play intervene into classes without any problems. You can already because of the changes, but not now even more. Or you can have a storm bolt actually hitting 2 additional nearby targets, and it's going to be increased by 10 seconds. Personally, I don't need Stormbolt because I have like a Shockwave, and I prefer Stormbolt to be a single target one, which is a 30-second CD, instead of making it 40 seconds. So I prefer to take this one, Storm Shield. We're playing with Gathering Clouds, which is triggering your lightning strikes by 30% more often. Or you can also play the lightning strikes generates 5 rage, and raging blow and execute damage increased by 50%. I think it depends on how you see it. I think lightning strikes is very strong, so I like to play around that, and I prefer right now to play with like Gathering Clouds, but maybe I will change my mind once it gets nerfed or once it is changed. On the right side, you have Strength of the Mountain, so you get a Bloodthirst and Rampage damage increased by 10%, which is quite nice. Here you have Keep Your Feet on the Ground, which is giving you more armor. Interesting. More armor versus physical damage dealers, which is quite nice. And Thunderblast reduces damage you take by 8%, so you are going to be more sturdy as well. So I really like this talent. Or you can play around your Steadfast as the Peaks, which is basically giving you increased stamina, which is 5%. And you're also going to get 10% maximum HP, and once the health increases expires, you're going to be healed for that amount of the original impending victory that healed you in excess of your full health, which is quite nice as well. Burst of Power, lightning strikes have 50% chance to make your next 2 bloodthirsts have no cooldown and deal 25% increased damage and generate 2 additional rage. This is something you're going to get needed a weak aura for that, because it's not really noticeable. And it depends if you really want to bloodthirst or not, but you can play around that. So again, probably a weak aura for that, so you can actually know and notice, like, look, you can deal more damage on bloodthirst. Here you have Call of Thunder, which is interesting. So your Storm Strike or nature damage your abilities deal is increased by 5%, and Storm Strike damage ignores armor, because obviously it's a school of spell, so it's the same as nature, to be honest. It doesn't really matter. Thunderclap damage increased by 50%, and it generates 5 rage. But also, every single improvement on Thunderclap and Whirlwind is going to be applied to Thunderclap and also Whirlwind. So you can take any talents, and it's going to be improving your Thunderclap, which is going to make it way more worth it to press. Thunderblast. So every time you're going to do a Bloodthirst, you have a 35% chance to grant you a Thunderblast, stacking up to 2 charges. So Bloodthirst is going to be interesting to press, basically to get those Thunderblast procs. Your next Thunderclap becomes a Thunderblast that deals Storm Strike damage and generates 10 rage. So it does a lot of damage. Like Thunderblast is really, really cool. So you should be playing around that, because your Thunderblast is going to deal more damage, and overall it's going to also give you more rage. Thunderblast calls down a lightning strike on an enemy it hits, so you can basically have Thunderblast plus also lightning strike together. So you're going to have you're going to probably deal a lot of damage with lightning strikes and Thunderclap in general. And then you have Avatar of the Storm. So casting Avatar grants you 2 charges of Thunderblast and resets the cooldown of Thunderclap. So you can do Thunderclap into Avatar, into Thunderblast, and then another Thunderblast whenever it's up. While Avatar is not active, Lightning Strikes have a 10% chance to grant you Avatar for 4 seconds. It doesn't proc that much. whenever it procs, it's cool, but you cannot really play around it. Deal just damage however you can. Your next thunderclap becomes a thunderblast that deals storm strike damage. That is just an explanation on thunderclap. So overall, I really like the talent tree. I did play a lot of Fury. I did even do a solo shuffle, but the problem is people leave. I cannot even show you guys, but whatever. I did play Fury a bit yesterday. I don't know if they did reset or not. So basically what you do is you're going to... I need to reload, my bad. It doesn't want to press buttons, so we already know. I think in general you're going to play the normal Fury way, because you're going to do raging blows and you're going to do bloodthirst. Now, do you want to play bloodthirst to deal damage with bloodthirst, or do you want to play thunderclap, like more bloodthirst to do thunder blasts? That's another problem, right? But overall, what you can do is basically thunderclap whenever you can. It does 250k, which is not bad. It does like as much damage as a bloodthirst, or even more, to be honest. So it's an ability you can actually press often. And once you have like a thunder blast, which is not going to pop for some reason, I'm going to play storm really quickly so you can see the damage. It's not that bad, but it's also not that impressive as well. And it doesn't proc, but I can proc it whenever you want. And now you have thunder blast. You see, it does a lot more damage. So if I'm doing that, 650k crit, which is really noticeable. So you have to play around that, and it does light up whenever you're going to get the increased damage on your bloodthirst. And whenever you're doing avatar, you're getting a thunderclap like thunderblast proc as well, and that's really cool. It does a lot of damage, and it does also proc on your recklessness if you have the talent for it on your class tree. So it's very cool as well, and it does really good damage. Now, is it going to be the build for PvP? I actually don't know, but you can play around it and play around the good stuff, right? So obviously, I personally like this build. I really enjoy it because, again, whenever you're going to thunderclap, you get like a whirlwind proc, which again, everything is going to deal damage like AoE wise, which is again really cool if you ask me, especially in like cleave situations. If you're able to do that, it's really a good thing. But it's lagging a lot. It's really not enjoyable. I liked way less on my Arms Warrior previous video. But you see Thunder Blast, and again I could do another go. I didn't press onslaught. It's very hard because you still have to press Thunderclap, and you don't want to lose like the overall damage potential with it. But Thunder Blast does a lot of damage actually. It's like 20%, like if you're counting Thunderclap and Thunder Blast together, 20% damage. And it's like not something you're going to see and look and say, oh damn, that needs nerfs directly. That's something it's realistic that it can stay like this. 20% of damage increased, and also have the visual effects and all these things is quite cool. Now they did promise Heroic Leap to also have like some sort of like Thundershock-ish animation that is still not here, so I don't know if they're going to do that or not. But overall, I quite enjoy it. I think it's a very fun hero talent. Then you have Lightning Strike. Again, like it's a passive. You kind of forget about it, but it does 8% damage, and it procs quite often. And the damage is noticeable. Like compared to Slayer, this is like you can see the damage happen, and you have like some sort of like lightning strikes. So it is fun. Bloodthirst does a lot of damage. Okay damage. Execute does good damage. Blazestorm does less because we did play the 2 Blazestorm talent, but we could change that anytime. Yeah, you have Thunderous Roar, Champion Spear. You have multiple abilities that you are pressing, and personally I find it a very fun way to play Fury Warrior. Excuse me. So obviously I like it. Now it could get buffed as well, so it's not like immune to get buffed, and you can play like a 100 build, right? So you can play with one less points on a hack and slash and get it on a single-minded fury, and you can do same-ish damage. You do have lower stamina, but you're a bit faster, and you do get enraged every single time you're going to crit with your auto attacks. It's 50% chance, so basically you're going to have it up every single time. And it's something you can play around, and it's fun as well. So there is the possibility as well. So let's talk about the positives and negatives on Mountain Thane. I would say Mountain Thane is the Colossus for Arms Warrior. I think visually, lore wise, but also like everything feels wise, it does feel like you're playing a Mountain Thane. That's a good thing. They are going to notice, oh, there, this Fury Warrior is a Mountain Thane. While if you're playing Slayer, they're not going to notice you're playing Slayer. That's how I feel right now. I like that. That's a positive. Another positive is Thunder Blast actually deals good damage. It's not bad damage, and it's like Fury Warrior damage, right? You cannot make like the big strikes of an Arms Warrior or as a Fury Warrior, but you can see the AoE potential it has. Like in arenas and BGs, you can actually like be a very big opponent, and it feels really good to press. I think the talent tree is well made up. It kind of needs probably a bit of a buff somewhere here and there, but overall it feels like it's probably the hero talents I'm going to play the most in PvP, because it's how fun it is. And I think fun is the most important thing right now, because balancing is going to come up anyways. They could buff Mountain Thane, they could also buff Slayer. And I think the feels, the animation, and how it is portraying is a good start. And again, I think it's going to come out in 3 months, so I don't think they have a lot of time to do reworks. So hopefully they do a bit of balancing. It doesn't need to be like 2 million damage, but it maybe can be a bit higher, just a bit higher, so you can actually like chunk people with it. But it does feel like Fury Warrior has not that much damage right now. It may be just an opinion, but in social flow it feels like I was like lowest DPS for most of the rounds, because of how it plays. It's very slow right now. I think the rage regen has been nerfed, or at least it feels like this. Or I'll have to play another build for that, but we'll have to see. Now let's talk about Slayer. So Slayer is it's surprising, to say the least. I find it boring, but I already told you guys that yesterday. Yesterday with the Arms Warrior video. I find it not really creative. It is animation wise a bit boring. I think it could do way more. It's something you are going to play and forget about it. They're not going to notice you're a Slayer Fury Warrior, except whenever you're going to Bladestorm and kick them. That's the only thing that is quite good. I already talked about most of the things in the Arms Warrior video. I don't know if you have saw that. But this is going to be applied on every attack. It's a high chance, so it's going to be applied. And it is going to increase the damage on execute, and it's stackable by 3 times. You have sudden death proccing way more, or way more is a bit difficult to say, but it's proccing more. Your Bladestorm does more damage. Whenever you're going to do sudden deaths, it can stack to 3 times, and for the same duration you're going to hit more, which is more damage. Sudden death is going to heal you, which is leech, which is quite nice as well. Mark for execution increases the critical strike chance and critical strike damage of your next execute on the target. Again, like I said with the Arms Warrior video, it's not really visible. You can feel like it crits more, but it's not like something you can show on a tooltip. It should be underneath marked for execution, but right now it's not the case, so it is what it is. We have each strike of Bladestorm implies overwhelmed, since you have 2 stacks, or if you play only with one Bladestorm, it's quite easy to maintain and to keep it. You have also, whenever you're going to do a Bladestorm and it ends, your next rampage does 50% more damage, so obviously you're going to do more rampage damage, or you're playing the Bladestorm damage ability, which is evenly split if it is hitting multiple targets. If you're doing a single target damage, with your Bladestorm, you're going to do a lot of damage, but it's not going to be often the case. Reap the Storm, which is interesting. Whenever you're going to do Bloodthirst, you're going to sometimes have Reap the Storm, which is dealing okay damage. It also applies Overwhelmed, so you keep the stacks high at all times. Here you have the mobility spell, like I said, in Arms Warrior. You have Vicious Agility, which is reducing charge whenever you're going to Heroic Leap, and charge reduces the cooldown of Heroic Leap by 2 seconds. So it's okay, it's put and forget, you're not going to play around it. It's interesting. Sometimes you can play around it if you have like charge like really close to be up. You can like Heroic Leap and have charge afterwards. But you still are going to Heroic Leap anyways. It's not like you're going to Heroic Leap on purpose to get a charge. It's, yeah. And the Relentless Pursuit is the one I'm playing right now, which I find it quite good because it removes impairing effects every single charge you're doing every 30 seconds, which is quite nice, and gives you a bit more movement speed to stick up the target. You have Opportunist, which is a Raging Blow resets its own cooldown. Your next Raging Blow deals 10% more damage and critical strike damage. Or you play around Bloodthirst, critical strike damage is increasing your next Bloodthirst damage. So both are equally good. I play around Raging Blow, but you could be playing a Bloodthirst build if you want to. Raging Blow is going to be increased by 20%. Bloodthirst, I already talked about these talents. And then you have Unrelenting Onslaught. So whenever you're going to execute, you're going to, with your marked for execution, which you are going to have it regardless, it's going to reduce the cooldown of Bladestorm by 5%, 5 seconds, and also apply to 2 stacks of overwhelms to the target per stack of marked for execution whenever it's consumed. The only important thing that you need to know is whenever you're Bladestorming, you can be able to do a pummel or a stormbolt while Bladestorming. So there is that, obviously. So yeah, I find it quite interesting, and I need to look for obviously the interesting part, which is the details damage, right? We need to see this and see it work. So basically, we are going to go in and we're going to deal damage, and you're going to see the difference between the Thunderclap and Thunderblast damage proportions and then the Slayer one. Again, it is going to be buffed, I think, because it is not really noticeable. But I'm going to charge, I'm going to deal the damage as I can. Obviously, I need to reload again, which is annoying. It is what it is. But overall, I think Slayer is quite boring from what I've played. That's something, again, it's opinionated. So it might be not boring for you, but for me it's really, really boring. So I'm going to start with a burst right now, why not? You see, I have some damage here and there, right? I have the marked for execution, you see it here. So now I need to obviously proc my sudden death, which is not proccing, unfortunately. So once it can proc, I will be able to show you the damage. Now I have sudden death, I'm proccing, boom, I have a lot of damage on execute. And that's the only satisfying part, is that execute actually hurts a lot for, how it's called, for Fury Warriors. And it is like quite often you're going to get those interesting procs, right? It's not always easy. For example, here it doesn't proc, like those Slayer thingies are not proccing right now. Now I have one proc. I hate that my UI is a bit different than on retail though, because I'm still looking at my bars for some reason. I don't even know why, because everything is the same. But overall, I do feel like it's a bit slower to deal damage and it's not as noticeable. Now I'm lagging though. I cannot Bladestorm. And like I said, normally Bladestorm is on a 1 minute CD, but it shows as a 1.5 minute CD, which is a bit treacherous. But overall, it does some good damage here and there, but it feels like it's because of Fury being there, not really because of Slayer and Hero Tons. So I'm going to show you the difference. So here, obviously, Bladestorm deals a bit more damage because of the modifiers, and also I'm taking Unhinged. So I have only one Bladestorm. I have Execute dealing some great damage, actually. Like, again, it hits with 2 weapons. So obviously doing 600k and then another 200k is quite good. You have melees, obviously, your Fury Warrior, your Bloodthirsting, it's the same. Bladestorm, which is good. It is actually separated. It's like 20% damage for you as a Fury Warrior, which is quite cool. And you're able to Stormbolt as well, so it's something you're going to play regardless. But you see, Slayer Strike is actually really low on the priority list. Same for Reap the Storm. I think it just sucks that Bloodthirst is such an ability you don't really want to press too much, that you're not going to have a lot of value on Reap the Storm, while Arms Warrior, they are going to press more strike a lot more. It's something, regardless, they need to fix. So I have to see if it's going to be buffed or not. If it's going to be changed, I think it should be changed to Raging Blow, or at least like a choice node, so you can change it into Raging Blow if you want to. Because if you're playing a Raging Blow build, it sucks that you have to press Bloodthirst just to proc the Reap the Storm, and Reap the Storm is not that impressive as well. So you could be playing Bloodthirst build, but then you have like 2 trees where it is really Bloodthirst heavy. Like the hero talents for like Mountain Thane and for Slayer are both Bloodthirst heavy specs, right? So it should be able to be played around Raging Blow, but I don't know if they're going to change that. Overall, I don't like this tree. It feels a bit boring, although I think it is probably the meta build for Fury. Let me explain. I think Unrelenting Onslaught is something you kind of need. As a Fury Warrior, you want to reduce the CD of Blazestorm, you want to be able to pummel, you want to be able to Stormbolt. You're more mobile as well. I think mobility is super important for Fury Warriors, while for Arms Warrior it's a bit different because you're playing around your Demolish, for example, of Colossus. And Colossus is so much better, like in general, that you are okay with being a bit more or a bit less mobile. I think Sudden Death is a bit bugged because it doesn't proc that much. But it is what it is. And overall, I feel like Slayer are not that interesting. That's my negative like point of view for Slayer. I think Slayer could be more fun, it could be more entertaining, which is unfortunate. But the plus sides are, I think the damage of Blazestorm is quite nice to play around, especially as Fury Warrior. I think your Rampage dealing more damage after your Blazestorm, you can play around it if you want to and deal some insane amount of damage. I'm going to show you really quickly. So if I'm proccing my Raging Blow into a big Onslaught and I'm doing a Blazestorm into an Avatar, so I'm going to do those two together, I'm doing some good damage, right? So my Rampage crits for 570k, and one Rampage did 1.56 million, which is, again, I think a lot of like players would like to hit and crit for that much. But obviously, I think if that's the only thing that makes you want to play Slayer, then I don't know, man. It feels like too light. That's for sure. You could also play like a big Blazestorm build with like killing Cyclone. But again, if you're like AoEing, it doesn't give you too much like usefulness. But if you're like single targeting, you're going to deal some insane damage. If I can do that really quickly for you guys. It's very hard to have like sudden death procs though, so you're not going to see the full potential of it. Let's try to proc everything I can. There is no sudden death, unfortunately. I don't know why. It doesn't proc. It doesn't want to proc, to be honest. Okay. Just one sudden death. You see I have a stack here, one more strike. I'm gonna try to get like 3 strikes so I can show you the damage that it can do. If I get a proc, obviously. For now it's not the case, it seems. It doesn't want to give me a stack of sudden death. I have a sudden death proc now, alright. Another one please, so I can actually show you guys. Would be nice. I have another one. Okay, now we can burst. So I'm going to Recklessness, Avatar, Spear of Bastion into Thunderous Roar, into a Rampage, into a big Blazestorm. So my Blazestorm, I only did one Blazestorm here, and it did a lot of damage. Like it's 2.6 million plus 1.5 million. And you kind of see the point of this build. You can play around Blazestorm, or you can play around the end of Blazestorm, which is with a Brutal Finish. But I think if you are able to do that, to do a single target Blazestorm, you can really chunk someone like 50% HP. but it's tough. Like people can just run away as well. But you can stormbolt while you're bladestorming. So I think that's the only like thing you can do is play around your bladestorm and have like a weak aura for sudden death. So you can have like 3 bladestorm stacks and then do like avatar, recklessness, spear of passion, thunderous roar, and then a bladestorm. You can deal some good damage. But is it really like a playstyle you can play and maintain, or do you prefer Mountain Thane, which is also animations wise very very fun to play around? But yeah, that's my opinion. We'll have to see also if they're going to change it or not. But overall, I think Fury is in a good state, at least a better state than in Dragonflight because of the changes to the class tree and to the spec tree as well. You can play again around Blaze if you want to. There is still a possibility for that. They did remove Annihilator, which is a good thing. But again, it's very difficult because how do you take all this Fury without like sacrificing all the talents? You have to maybe like sacrifice 5th strikes for sure to get like Death's experience. And you kind of have to probably lose Onslaught. Like those two. I think you have to lose those two to get Laodis Fury and Titanic Rage or Dancing Blades. So it's difficult. You have to, because I think Bladestorm is still something you want to play around. It's too strong to not play it. So yeah, I think Unhinged doesn't really deserve to be here. I think it should be somewhere else, or it should be replaced. But that's again my opinion. Again, thank you for watching this video. Really appreciate you. Be sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't done that yet. It has been a long video again, a bit less than the Arms Warrior one, but I did talk about the Arms Warrior one a bit more general. So if you want to check that out, the beginning of the video is more general and then it becomes a bit more specific. But I think Fury Warrior is in a good state. It's difficult to test PvP except in Soul Shuffle, but with that lag, and sometimes I have to reload, and sometimes it feels like buttons are not working, or the CD seems up but I cannot press them, and then at one point it is not up and I can press them, it gives me an avatar, for example. It's tough, but overall I think the beta is going to be better and better. The more people are going to play, the more we can test, the more we can make War Within a great expansion. Again, thank you for watching this video, really appreciate you, and be sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't done that yet. Careful, bye.